Hello again and welcome to the Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video. So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at post FAQ conscripts. Are they back? Like, are they truly back? And if they are back, what is the best regiment to use for conscripts now? So taking a look at conscripts, essentially I would say that conscripts are now a viable choice again, because the whole thing with them being made 4 points is now offset by the fact that you're saving the additional 30 points you would have been spending on Lord Commissars now, because Lord Commissars have been halved in points. So some of you may be saying, well, why would you take conscripts though? Because you could just take infantry squads. Well, there's a good reason to take conscripts. And that is they've come in big blocks of 30, and it is difficult. It's very easy to have 2 big units of 30 conscripts and 1 commissar to support them both, but it's actually quite hard to have. It can be quite restrictive trying to have 1 commissar stay in range of 3 or 4 infantry squads. You always find you're having to limit your movement, especially as a Mordian when I'm trying to stay ranked up. It can be really inconvenient. So conscripts are back because they just give you 30 bodies in one place, and they're very good at clogging the enemy up as well. So if an enemy charges, let's say you've got 3 units of infantry, an enemy close combat force only has to charge 1 of your infantry squads to absolutely murderize them, and then potentially consolidate on through back in, into your back lines. Once he doesn't need to cut through all 30 of those infantry guys. You can very easily just cut down 10 of them, and that might be all the gap he needs. It might be all the hole he needs. But with conscripts, when there's 30 of them in a block, your opponent has to kill all 30 of them. There's no questions about it. He has to do that. So there are some advantages to taking conscripts, and so I would definitely say they are viable again. They're not costing you any more than they were overall pre-FAQ, which is good. And if you take into account the fact that with the current FAQ, you can no longer spam as many commissars as you like, and so before it wouldn't matter if you had to take 2 or 3 commissars for a fighting group just to make sure everyone got maximum morale. Now you can't do that. Now it's just not feasible. The most you can take is 6, and that will barely cover your entire. Especially if you're taking a full infantry horde like me, that will barely cover all the squads that you need to have good leadership. So, what were you thinking about with conscripts? How are we going to run them? I think that maybe 20-man blobs will probably be okay, but I still think you're going to want 30. The reason I'm saying 30 is that, let's say your opponent kills 12 or 13 conscripts from a unit. That's perfectly doable. Then that means that even with a Lord Commissar around, you're going to be losing at least 4 other guys. Okay? You're losing at least 4 other guys, and with a bad battle shock roll, I know you could potentially re-roll it, but then you'd have to execute someone. With a bad battle shock roll, you could lose the rest of the unit. You're going to lose 4 at least. So there's only going to be, and you've already lost 13, there's only going to be 3 left. You've got a 50-50 chance of losing the rest of the unit, unless you want to spend a stratagem. But if you take a blob of 30, and you take about the same amount of casualties, then there's a good chance you'll have maybe 10 guys left over. On the worst result, you'll still have 10 guys left over. That's still a functional unit. That can still do stuff. Now, some of you might say, well, what if you lose 20? Well, if you lose 20, then you've lost the full unit either way, so it doesn't make a difference, and you can always spend 2 command points to keep them around if you absolutely must do. But I don't think that's necessary with conscripts. I think conscripts now need to be viewed as 100% expendable. They absolutely just need to be viewed as just, don't worry about losing some to battle shock. Don't worry about if you lose 10. Don't worry about losing 4 or 5 more to battle shock. Just don't worry about it. Don't waste your command points on them. Although saying that, it's very easy for us to take a brigade and a battalion now in foot guard. You've got the command points to spare, and if you take the relic and warlord trait that lets you harvest loads and loads of command points, you're probably never going to be short. So it's not the worst idea to just spend 2 command points to keep them around. 30-point astropath. You might decide, I don't want to, you spend 35 points on Lord Commissar, but I could spend 30 points on an astropath and have psychic focus or whatever it's called, and get the warp charge 4 power that allows you to make a unit absolutely fearless. That seems like a good idea. That seems like a really good idea. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Because if it all goes tits up and you need to make them fearless anyway, bung in 2 command points and keep them there. So what I'm saying is there's quite a few ways that we can keep conscripts around now, and now they're essentially pre-FAQ price when taking into account a Lord Commissar or even a regular Commissar. Then that's great. That's absolutely fine. Now, speaking about sort of Lord Commissars and leadership, it's a difficult one because it's 15 points for a regular Commissar, and that makes them leadership 8, and that's pretty good. But I do kind of feel like leadership 9 is the minimum. Now, I'm still not sure, guys. I'm still not sure whether the Mordian trait or the Katachan trait stacks with conscripts. I don't know. I thought that the Mordian trait still stacked with the Lord Commissar, so you'd have leadership 10 conscripts. If that's the case, then I think Mordian conscripts are probably the best ones, simply because they're being meat shieldy, but also they get that 5+ Overwatch, which means they'll take a few more of the bastards down with them before they get cut to pieces in close combat. But if it doesn't stack, then there's no point in taking Mordian conscripts. If it does not stack, because their leadership 9 with the Lord Commissar or their leadership 6 without him, well, I guess you just wouldn't take. It just doesn't seem like it's a great deal. But there are other regiments out there which could make very good use of conscripts. Armageddon Steel Legion. Biggest problem with conscripts is now that they struggle to take orders. On a 4+. If you're Armageddon Steel Legion, you've got an 18-inch rapid fire. That's almost like having first rank fire, second rank fire turned on all the time. Almost. It's pseudo first rank fire, second rank fire, because at 18-inch range you're going to be getting 2 shots. That's good. Vestroyan is pretty good as well. But I guess you don't with Vestroyan. Having 30-inch range conscript lasguns, you're not really expecting the conscripts to be doing a lot of damage, so you don't really, making them be able to hit the enemy from slightly further away. I guess if you're facing off against a shooting army, Vestroyan's kind of like jack of all trades, because yes, it gives you an extra bit of rapid fire range, but it also means that your conscripts, in a pinch, if you're facing off against a shooting army, for example, it means that your conscripts will be able to engage the shooting enemy from further away, and you don't need to get all up close and personal. But then again, if you're facing a shooting army like Tower with conscripts, you want to get in amongst them, you want to bayonet charge them, don't you? So, it's tricky. Cadian ones are good, but the problem I have with Cadian conscripts is that my conscripts never stay still. My conscripts are always pushing up the field, always. So, they're never going to stay still, so they're never really going to take advantage of it. Valhallan ones, they speak for themselves. Valhallan Valhallan conscripts, the way you'd make it work is you take 3 units of them, and you'd put a Lord Commissar with the Warlord trait that makes them take less battle shock, and you take an officer with Petrov's pistol, and they're the most durable conscripts. They don't do much damage, but they're the most durable. They're probably the best. I still say that they're some of the best conscripts. However, an interesting one to consider. Talon conscripts, I think, are pretty useless. I guess. Well, I say that actually. I think Talon conscripts could be alright because you can move and advance with your conscripts, and it means you don't have to worry about trying to move them onto objectives. So actually, I think Talon conscripts could be pretty good. I think one of the hidden gems could be Kathachan conscripts, though, because Strength 4 conscripts would definitely make them. You want to charge them at the field, get them in amongst the enemy, and bayonet people down. That could work. That could work. With Strachan and a priest and a couple of Lord Commissars to keep them in line, that could work as a proper assaulty sort of wave. That's 90 infantry that are going to get in amongst you and do some damage. And it's easy. Again, some might be saying, well, why wouldn't you just take infantry squads? Well, the point is that it would be very easy to keep a priest and Strachan and a couple of Lord Commissars in range of all 3 of those infantry blobs, of those conscript blobs. It'd be very easy. We're trying to keep them in range of 9 different infantry squads. It would be trickier. It would genuinely be trickier. I know some of you will be thinking, well, in theory they should all be able to. No, just trust me. Theory's fine, but actually, you can conga line a bit and all that, but it just makes it so much less maneuverable. It just does. Absolutely just makes it so much less maneuverable. That is the one thing conscripts have going for them, maneuverability. Okay? So, tell me what you guys think. Let's just, assume for a second that conscripts are viable. Which regiment trait do you think that they're actually best suited for? I think Valhallan is a natural one. Mordian is a bit, well, if I don't get Leadership 10 conscripts, what's the point, really? If I do get Leadership 10 conscripts, then I think Mordian is fantastic. Talon, potentially very manoeuvrable. Kathachan, very choppy, potentially. I think it probably comes down to Armageddon Steel Legion conscripts and Valhallan conscripts. I think they're potentially some of the best. Just because 18-inch range rapid fire conscripts is nasty. Very nasty. Especially against a lot of shooting armies. So, what regiment do you guys think is the best one? Please do lots of comments. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time.